Anime, an art form from the land of Japan, has become the number one source of entertainment for Gen Z and millennials in India in recent times. If you go out on the streets of any metropolitan or even tier 2 city in India, you can easily find teenagers and young adults wearing t-shirts with anime graphics printed on them. You can find people discussing about what anime they like or are watching at the moment in a social gathering of schools and colleges. Even film stars like Tiger Shroff and Rashmika Mandana became ambassadors of Crunchyroll in India to show their love and support towards the anime culture. And it wasn't just limited to events in India. Rashmika Mandana even presented an award in the Crunchyroll Anime Awards in Tokyo earlier this year.
Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Swordsmith Village Art.
Even though I'm not so sure if she's an anime fan or an Naruto fan. I mean, take a look for yourself.
Naruto Shippuden. Naruto back then, Naruto I watched it like again and again and again, like Naruto and Sasuke. When Naruto...
Any kind of animation was considered as cartoons meant to be watched by small kids. The earliest introduction of animated work in India dates back to 1934 when the first Indian animated film called The P Brothers was released in theatres. More than 50 years later, the first animated show was aired on Indian television called Ghayab Aya, which revolved around the story of a friendly ghost named Ghayab, very similar to Casper the Friendly Ghost. Yeah, this guy right here. Moving into the 90s, many animated shows began airing on Indian television like Looney Tunes, DuckTales, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In 1995, Cartoon Network was launched in India as the first children's TV channel. Initially, they only aired Hanna-Barbera cartoons like the Yogi Bear Show, Top Cat and the iconic Scooby-Doo.
What? Stunning architecture. Love the gargoyle.
Nothing.
A year after its release, Cartoon Network started airing one of the most iconic shows in the history of cartoons, Tom and Jerry. In 1993, a Japanese anime adaptation was made for the epic Ramayana called Ramayana, The Legend of Prince Ram. This was one of the first crossovers of the anime and the Indian culture. In recent times, with a huge growth in popularity of anime, this movie is set to be released in Indian theatres more than 30 years after its original release. It might already be in the theatres depending on when you are watching this video or if I was too lazy to finish the edit. Anyways, this only goes to show how much impact anime has had on the Indian audience. It was in the early 2000s that anime started becoming a big part of kids' television channels. Cartoon Network started airing Dragon Ball Z somewhere around 2000-2002. It was also aired by Toonami around the same time. Many other anime started coming into the scene like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Detective Conan, Digimon Adventure. But the anime which completely stole the hearts of the audiences were Pokemon and Beyblade. Like, come on, who wouldn't fall in love with this cute little yellow rodent who electrocutes people, or spinning tops which have magical beasts inside them, right? Even two of the big three, Naruto and One Piece, were aired by Cartoon Network in the mid-2000s but were soon discontinued because of issues with the censor board. But there were two other anime shows which started airing in the mid-2000s and went on to become the most loved shows by the younger generations of India, Doraemon and Shin-chan. Now if you are Indian who grew up in India in the 2000s, you don't need me to tell you how much of an impact these shows had on our childhoods. Even when I was looking for footage for these shows online for this video, I got waves of nostalgia hitting me from all directions. Doraemon started airing around May 2005 while Shin-chan started airing the next year in June. Both these shows ran on Hungama TV. It wasn't just the shows but also how they were dubbed in Hindi to make it suitable for the Indian audience. These shows for me are the best dubbed shows in Hindi ever. Now meet her. Her name is Sonal Kaushal, popularly known as the Motor Mouth. She is the Hindi voice behind many beloved anime characters, and one of the most popular of these characters is of course Doraemon.
अगर जियान और सुनियो तुम्हें परेशान करेंगे तो तुम उनका सामना करोगे.
Recently on her YouTube channel, she uploaded a podcast with Akash Ahuja, the OG voice actor for Shin-chan. And take a look at the response of the comments from people on this video. This just goes to show the love for these characters and shows that these people still have in their hearts. Now you must be wondering that the title of the video was how anime took over India. So why the fuck is this guy not talking about that? Well, let's get started on that. As we all know, it all began in the lockdown. But wait a minute. Before we get into the lockdown, before I talk about the lockdown, I just wanted to tell you guys something that happened a year before. In late 2018, Dragon Ball Super Broly was initially released. Indian fans wanting to see the movie in the theaters started petitioning to get the movie in the theaters of India. After a lot of effort from the fans, the movie finally came to Indian theaters in March 2019. Later in the year, fans again petitioned for Makoto Shinkai's movie Weathering with You to come into Indian theaters. Almost around 56,000 fans petitioned for the movie, which finally made Weathering with You the first anime movie to be released nationwide. These two events completely opened up the gates for the anime culture to enter into the Indian entertainment industry. And now, we finally come to the lockdown. Now during the lockdown, we had all the free time in the world, especially school and college students, as online classes weren't really classes. We were spending most of our day playing video games, using social media or watching content. As we went deeper into the lockdown, we started discovering anything which could cure our boredom, and then the surge of anime happened, with thousands and thousands of episodes of an infinite number of genres available to be watched. Everyone started watching and appreciating anime. With time, the lockdown wore off, but anime had already left a lasting impression on its audience. Everyone was completely consumed in anime. You could find random people using some Japanese phrases from anime in everyday conversations. People wearing anime merchandise, as I said in the beginning of the video.
もしもし、私はデジャスです。はい、はい、はい。わかりました。それがいい買いました。はい、はい。Because this was not sure.
Even popular anime YouTubers started to leverage the growing popularity of anime by putting anime references in their videos and making content around anime. But at the same time, it is really important to understand that it wasn't just the lockdown that gave anime this boost. Anime had already made a place in the hearts of Indian fans since the early 2000s. It was because of the existing fan following of Dragon Ball Super that the movie was released in India. This is why I had to blabber so much about the history of animated content and its viewership. Now we are in a time where we see anime conventions and several other anime events being hosted in cities like Mumbai and Delhi. Crunchyroll and other OTT platforms are also promoting anime in full swing. Several roads in cities across the country have anime posters and hoardings these days. But you might now be wondering what is wrong with it. As I have mentioned in the latter part of the video title, anime is taking over India and it is bad. Well, honestly, it isn't really bad. But the problem happens when people start obsessing over something too much. Like, I enjoy anime and I was really happy 2 years ago seeing how anime is becoming so popular. But now I'm not so sure if it is a good thing. In June this year, I went to a mall to watch Deadpool and Wolverine with my friends. While we were in the mall, we were checking out a bookstore where we could find a bunch of different mangas. Now as we were checking out the mangas, two small kids, maybe 10-year-olds, came in running and picked up a certain manga. Now guess what manga that might be? Jujutsu Kaisen. Now hear me out. There is nothing wrong with JJK, but its following has become way too toxic. And it's not just JJK, even fans of Naruto and One Piece bully each other online. I understand the fact that wherever there will be a fan base of multiple things, there will be clashes among them. But there has to be a fine line which shouldn't be crossed. There are so many people who love certain shows and still respect the taste and opinions of other people, even if it contradicts their own opinions. And that is how it should be. But anyway, as time goes on, there will be some new form of entertainment that will attract the masses away from the current trend of anime. While true admirers of this art form will stay with it, most of the people who just like to hop on trends will surely be swayed into the trends. I don't consider myself a huge fan of anime either, but I have a good time when I watch certain shows. I have watched a fair few shows to be honest, but I am still not close to most of the people who are completely into anime. All the things that I've said in this video is mostly my opinion on why anime became so huge in India, looking at the history of animated shows in India. If you got even a tiny bit of value out of this video, do consider subscribing to watch more such content. That's it for today. See you another time. Signing off.